It's time to get sexy, so watch Secular Sexuality live Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTSS and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callsex.
Hello, beautiful people.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Talk Heathen. Today, Sunday, September 25th, 2022. I am your host, ObjectivelyDan, and I have a very special guest with me today. In case you can see him on screen, it is the one and only one of the original hosts of Talk Heathen who has graciously joined us today. It's Jamie Boone. Jamie.
Well, thank you for that illustrious introduction.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Jamie, I am so happy to be. It's been years since we've sat in the same room doing a show together.
Yeah, it's
right?
true. Yeah, I just couldn't escape you. No, it has been a long time. But you and I in particular, because I think that's been longer than since I've been on this show.
Yeah, it's been a while. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, folks, I am excited to be hosting today's show, and we want to talk to you because this is a live call-in show, and currently we have open lines, so we're waiting on some of you guys to call in and talk to us. The number for that is going to be 512-991-9242. Or if you don't like using the phone, you can also call through your computer. It's tiny.cc/callth. And we want to hear from you. Again, open lines. So we want to talk to you guys. Jamie, we should point out the elephant in the room. We are wearing the exact same shirt right now.
I put it on first.
And here's the thing. Completely on accident.
Yes.
Completely on accident. I know that sounds super unbelievable, but recently,
I know, it's a miracle, probably.
Well, we were both at, we did the Bat Cruise recently. Those of you who joined us at the Atheist Community of Austin Bat Cruise, which is a thing that we usually do every year. We couldn't do because of COVID. Now we got to do it again. And Clara from the UTSA Secular Student Alliance was out there giving out shirts, and this was one of the shirts that they gave, and I was like, oh, this is a really cool shirt. I'm going to wear it this time in my life on Talk Heathen, and apparently you wore the same thing.
I had about the same thought. I was like, I won't wear my old Talk Heathen shirt. I'm back. I just got this one.
Yeah. So it's just funny. It's literally the exact same shirt, and we didn't even plan it at all. But it's a good shirt. I mean, it says "Hail Science" on there. It's got a little science-y pentagram. It's really cool. So
the pentagram itself is derived from mapping the path of the apparent path of Venus through.
What, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Have you been studying like astrology? Is that what
not astrology?
Okay.
But I've been on a math and science kick lately.
Okay, I gotcha. Well,
I
cool.
will learn chemistry.
Real quick, I need to do some quick announcements before we get started here. Talk Heathen is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, which is a 501c3 organization dedicated to the promotion of positive atheist culture and a separation of religion and government. There's a couple of different ways you can support Talk Heathen. You can do that through our Patreon, which is tiny.cc/PatreonTH. You can please like the video and subscribe to the channel and enable those notifications by hitting that bell icon there, and comment below on your favorite caller. I know, Jamie's here and all, but please be nice to him. He really needs that support. And so if you want to become a member, you can do that too. You can click the join button below the video, and you're going to get custom chat emojis, and you'll help perpetuate the mission of Talk Heathen and the Atheist Community of Austin. And it's really simple to do that too. You can do that for as little as 99 cents a month if you want. And also below the live chat, we have a fundraiser. 100% of the proceeds go directly to the ACA if you hit that donate button there on YouTube. So YouTube does not take any fees for that. So if you want to go ahead and donate directly to the organization itself, that's a great way to do it. So we do a lot more announcements now, Jamie.
Yeah,
you know, it's a lot more.
Yeah.
A lot more stuff, but we
Still glad to have that over there in that chair. Yeah, with those
Right,
announcements.
yeah.
I'll rest my voice.
Yeah, you rest your voice, you take care. But it looks like we got some people that are trying to call in. You ready to talk to some folks?
Bring it.
Cool. All right. So looks
I
like
was born ready yesterday.
okay.
so.
Looks like actually real quick before we get to the calls, because we should talk about how you've been, man. What's up?
Well, I've been pretty good. Ups and downs, more ups than downs.
Yeah.
Just switched sales jobs recently, but I'm excited to have found my niche in terms of earning money that way.
Okay.
That sort of thing.
Cool.
Like I said, it's math and science kick lately.
So you say you're on a math and science kick, and you were just telling me about Venus. Like, tell me like a cool like science fact.
A cool science fact. I'm trying not to bring up nitrates because we were talking about.
Right, yeah, you were like, man, that's a whole other discussion.
I was selling a food product, and so I got repeated firsthand, like, where's genetically modified skeptic to come here and tell these people, actually, the thing that you just said about chemistry and biology is not true.
We should get background because before we start every show, right, we always do a poll. If you're watching the show live, you can see the poll in the chat there. And one of the things Jamie brought up as like a poll question was, because we're like, we want people to call in. We want to give people a reason to call in. And Jamie was like, what if we did a poll about nitrates?
I said I know no one would actually
Jamie,
call in for
who
it,
the
but
fuck
it's the
cares?
first. Apparent people that come to buy turkey jerky care.
I guess, dude.
The pop science on the internet has finally caught up with research that was done in the 70s.
Okay. I have to take your word for it. I know nothing about nitrates.
Yeah, well, my word is gospel. So.
I see that. You do have the Jesus vibe going on right now.
Do I? Okay.
Yeah, you got the beard and stuff. Your beard is bigger than mine.
Everyone with a beard, Jesus. This is a new religion. It's called beardism.
Beardism?
Beardism. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one. But okay, we should actually get to some calls. I think so. I'm gonna go ahead and click talk on this first one here. We're gonna get started. We have R.A.O. calling in from Wyoming. R.A.O., you're live on Talk Heathen. What's up?
Hey, Dan, Jamie, how are y'all doing today?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
You're a repeat caller, aren't you?
It has been too long.
How do you know? You haven't been hosting.
I was going to say, he's been a repeat caller for a while. Yeah. So it says here you're interested in the simulation hypothesis?
My first call to Talk Heathen was with Jamie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there you go.
You always remember someone else's first.
There's... I can't with you. This is gonna be a crazy.
This is gonna be a fun
Jamie.
show. This is gonna be a fun show.
Anyway, R.A.O., what's going on?
Actually, this is going to be an exact repeat call of Truth Wanted.
Okay.
So we're gonna see if I built up any better arguments. We're gonna see if y'all built up. Well, like I don't think you're gonna need better defenses. You just made me look for better ways to get about it. But ready for a rematch?
I mean, when you put it like that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I see you want to talk about the simulation hypothesis.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the scoring system?
Well,
are there rounds?
I think I'm not a big fan. I don't know. It doesn't do anything for me, and I think R.A.O. is a believer.
In the simulation hypothesis?
Yes.
So correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't mean to cut across your argument. Does it come down to, well, if there's intelligent life and it develops something, well, it would run simulations like we do on everything, and there would be such a large number of those that it's statistically likely that we are, quote, in a simulation, end quote. Is that sort of the type of argument we're going for?
That's a variation of the Nick Bostrom argument, and that comes at it from purely a philosophical side to it. And I'm talking more along the lines of the similarities that we see, and the things that we can observe, not only within digital simulations, but within our own minds, to see the difference between what we can see and what we can't see.
So to be clear,
let's start off with the Mandelbrot set.
So real quick, before we get into the Mandelbrot set, you've talked about differences and you've talked about similarities. Do you mind clarifying between which things?
Okay.
Right, similarities between like mathematical constants.
So that our
popping up.
minds are something that exists outside of the digital reality.
Our mind. Wait, you're saying
sorry.
this is the fact that you're saying is true? Our minds exist outside of the digital reality?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what the digital reality is.
I also don't know what I can guess, but I don't know what he means by the mind exists outside of the.
Yeah.
What
is a digital reality? Can we start there?
A digital reality is any simulated reality that stems from base reality.
But what does that mean? Does that mean like The Sims? Like what do you mean when you say simulated reality? Because like there's like physics simulations, there's like simulations they do for medicine and stuff. So like what do you mean?
And what I'm doing is I'm comparing those to our reality being a digital simulation as The Sims or SimCity.
Well, so presumably if these simulations are created in our reality, they're not going to be, completely different than the things that they're simulating. And something that simulates people or physics is designed to reflect the reality that it's in. So I'm not sure that that's evidence that there's something simulating us. I've always had this question for simulation theory, which is, why would a simulation be self-aware? When we run a simulation, a mathematical map of the spread of a pandemic, special relevance lately, or how efficient a train system is going to be, nothing, not even the simulated people, the simulated actions of the people, I would say, are self-aware. At least I would say they don't have the same sort of reflexive knowledge that I have of my brain if they're created by something else. When we create simulations, we don't create self-aware simulations.
I don't know, but that doesn't mean that they can't be, though.
Well, true, but with me, it seems when you argue from the point of like, oh, there's so many of these, oh, this is really possible. Well, the first simulations that you do, particularly of, for example, living intelligent life, you would create actual living intelligent life. And so I have actually, as this side project, linking together all of these sort of like random, but why would there be an almost perfectly cylindrical object that passes in a close orbit towards Earth from the Kuiper Belt? And why would we see readings in the Kuiper Belt that might suggest a Planet X sized object? And why would there be a large body that came into the Earth's close orbit that fixed it? Yes, let me end real quick, which is in terms of hypotheses of, wow, the things that we see match simulations that we can make. That same behavior of, there's some intelligent life that's created a simulation, I would find it more likely to not be something digital.
Well, I can show that it's digital through the Planck constants, through Planck length, through Planck time. That is directly synonymous with frames and pixels.
Okay, so this is my thing, right? Let me refocus here. You're saying things are synonymous. You're saying the Planck time constant is synonymous with pixels, and you also mentioned that there's similarities between simulations and what we observe in real life. The fact that there are similarities, why does that lead to the conclusion that we are also living in a simulation?
Not just similarities.
Okay.
Not just similarities. Like mathematic equations.
What do you mean?
And I've looked at these things. I've looked at these things, and even Dr. Gates said that there's about 10 people on the planet that can understand them.
Okay, well that's fine. I'm obviously not one of those 10 people. But look, right? Like simulations run on equations, and we identify things that happen in the universe also through equations, right?
Yeah.
So there's a similarity there, but like, why does that necessarily mean that we are also a simulation?
Well, that's when it comes to the Planck constants, the Planck length and the Planck time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they factor in, because those smallest measurable units are equal to frames and pixels.
No. You are saying, look, this is like this other thing. But to say that they are equal, I don't think that's true, right? Like, I don't know if you can say that.
That's the conclusion you're trying to prove,
right?
Not a point that you could use to prove.
Like, I understand, like, you can draw similarities because, like, all simulations are based off equations, and we use like constants when we observe the universe, which end up in our equations. That is just an observation. Why does that lead to the conclusion that we are also a simulation? I mean, like, if anything, right, our simulations couldn't work unless the universe did have some constants, unless the universe did have equations that we could describe so that we could create, sets of equations within those, right? Like, physics has to work and be predictable in order for us to even make simulations in the first place. So why does the universe having, that property make it in a simulation? I don't see the connection.
All right, now all right. Think about how on your screen you got red, blue, green, and then you have a different intensity for brightness, white, and all that, saturation and all that.
Okay.
Your screen has all these different little levels that it uses, and in quantum field theory, it has all these different energy levels that spike up, and when these energy levels spike up and hit our spot in different saturations, they create different types of quarks.
Okay.
And those different types of quarks respond the same way that the pixels do, because they have the same energy levels that, well, on completely different scales, but like they have the same combinations of energy levels that create a certain thing that is not gradient, but there or not there at the Planck level.
Okay, but so what?
It is either blue or not blue at the Planck level, because it's coming up with the exact same mechanisms that we see in quantum field theory.
Okay, but like I have a heart, and like a dog also has a heart, and they do the same thing. They pump blood. Therefore, I'm a dog. Like that doesn't.
You're a mammal.
Sure, I'm a mammal.
You're a mammal.
Yeah, like definitely, but like.
And I would say the thing that your simulation and the world around it share in common is that they both exist in the world around it.
Yeah.
So we use math as the language of the universe to describe things that we observe and to create models and simulations of things that ultimately describe ideas about the world around us. So if I create a simulation of a family, it's describing a concept that exists in real life. So of course we're going to use the same language to describe, there's 4 members of this family, they live in this amount of space, etc., that we would use to describe the real world that we would also use in a Sims game. But the fact that we use the same language to describe similar things doesn't mean that they're exactly the same.
No, the fact that we had cathode ray tube TVs with color, the fact that we had color CRTs, the fact that Super Mario Brothers was a thing that happened on an 8-bit system in 1985, and we had color TVs back before that. The fact that we have color TVs before we found quantum field theory is evidence that I'm talking about the exact same thing rather than contrary. And you can't
Wait.
I'm sorry.
Wait. I know this isn't what you mean, but the wording you're saying that, you could say that for anything. You could say the fact that we had Mario Brothers means that we've discovered
the
I don't know,
best or the tallest.
I mean, look. Here's where we agree with you, right? I totally agree with you. There's definitely similarities you can take between computer models and simulations and between things that we observe in the universe. But I'm saying it's because of the things we observe in the universe that you observe those things in the simulations, right? If we didn't have those things to describe the universe, if we didn't have these constants, if we didn't have these measurable outputs that we could repeat, then we wouldn't be able to build these simulations in the first place. That's why they look so similar, because I mean, like, it's working on the same kind of logic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's not a real difference in terms of quantum field theory between the simulation that I make and me and the rocks that are falling down a mountain.
If quantum mechanics work differently, then our simulations would work differently.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a fact, right?
Right.
So
you can change the physics engine in any game, and that doesn't change the fact that it's a game.
That's true.
But you're not changing the base code that describes it.
Well, I mean, you're still using logical parameters, right? Like, I don't know, like if you change the constant of like gravity in a video game, like
you're changing an amount of something.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think your strongest argument is going to be, look how this thing is similar to this thing. I think it has to be a little bit more than that. You know what I mean?
I'm saying, look how many similarities there are. Look how many direct analogies.
There's a lot of similarities between if you look at a wave on the ocean that's 2 feet tall and has spray and crest at the top. There's a lot of similarities between 6 inches from the surface of water and 7 inches of the surface of the water and 10 inches of the surface of the water. But it doesn't mean that there's necessarily something that's exactly that same type of wave that's larger than it, right? So when you're describing a smaller portion of the same quantum field, which happens to be something that we perceive as, oh, we created that. Well, okay, in the same way that a mountain creates a rock, we came to be in the same sort of quantum field. So we're a wave through it. So saying, oh, okay, this part of the quantum field that obeys the same laws of physics resembles this smaller part of the quantum field that obeys the same laws of physics doesn't, to me, lead to the conclusion, therefore our reality is fake.
Yeah, R.A.O, we have to talk to some other callers here. I want to say I do appreciate you bringing up this discussion, and don't take this as anything other than we simply disagree. I hope what we've said so far makes sense, and I am interested in this topic in general, but I do feel like we've already made our points, right? Like I feel like we've kind of repeated ourselves here.
Yeah,
like, we see the simulations work in the way they do because the universe works in the way that it does.
Yeah.
That's why it's going to be, it's an argument from analogy.
It's a little bit like when people are looking for what something means and they assign a meaning to it that I don't think follows. So you go, oh, okay, so people in South America stacked things in a pyramid shape, and over here people stacked things in a pyramid shape. What does that mean? Well, that results from them both being humans, seeking the same things, food and shelter, and trying to build things out of rock.
Yeah.
The rocks obey the same laws of physics, so they figure out what works pretty well, and it's kind of easier to stack things in a pyramid. Also, it's harder to build a roof.
Yeah, like I point out, we both have circulatory systems or whatever, like us and dogs. Doesn't mean we're
Can't
dogs.
speak for
but
me.
And he said, we're both mammals. It's like, that's true, because simulations come from ultimately
made of the same
place,
substance,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, we've belabored this point, but hey, I got to tell you guys about some other ways you can support the show real quick before we move on to another call. Okay, so if you shop on Amazon, you can support the ACA at no extra cost to you. Simply visit tiny.cc/AmazonSmileACA, and you can designate the Atheist Community of Austin as your selected charity, and Amazon will donate a portion of their profit directly to the ACA. That's right, it's not at extra cost to you. It's not like a tax that's added afterwards for you. It is part of your purchase will go to the ACA, which is really cool. Another thing I got to tell you is look at the Talk Heathen merch store if you haven't already. You can do that by visiting tiny.cc/merchaca, and you can get some of your favorite stuff. We got t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, and you can check out some of our newer items like our beanies, cell phone cases, and tote bags. And we're now doing a special limited edition item each month. We got it there on the screen for you, so check that out before the end of the month. I think this is the last time you can get it for this month, right? Well, between this next week. Yeah. And then next month we'll have a different shirt for you, so you should check that out. Yeah. Also, real quick, you should check out all of the shows in podcast form if you prefer that. I know I do. So you can visit tiny.cc/AEN podcasts for that. You can listen to Talk Heathen, Atheist Experience, Truth Wanted, all the other shows for that. And last but not least, you can become a part of the Talk Heathen community in our fan-run Facebook page at tiny.cc/FBTHG. It is a Facebook page run by fans for fans, so check that out if you haven't already. So, ready to talk to some more folks, Jamie?
Yeah, I would just say as a quick piggyback on about Amazon Smile, it doesn't charge you anything extra. So if you think that it would be really helpful for the world and the economy for every now and then, if Bezos dropped a couple pennies from his profits into the budget of the ACA, then you can sign up at Amazon Smile. Who needs the money more?
Yeah, well, there is that. There is that, too. Something to think about. Next call we got here, we got Rick, who's talking to us from Canada. Rick, you are live on Talk Heathen. What's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing all right. It's a nice day today, you know.
It's a good one.
Yes.
How's it going for you, Rick?
I'm fantastic.
Great. What did you want to talk to us about today?
So I wanted to address your question popped up about Christian nationalism again, and I kind of wanted to touch on morality in the Bible.
Okay.
So, so I wanted to start. I just wanted to ask you a hypothetical question. So, if you were at home and somebody broke into your house and they wanted to rape your daughters, kill your sons, and take your wife, do you feel like you have a right to kill them?
This was not the question I was
I was gonna say that's a little bit. When you said Christian nationalism and morality in the Bible.
I think I have a right to stop them. At least, yeah. I mean, like I would, if I had means to stop them without killing them, I would do that first. Yeah, I mean.
But what if they wouldn't stop till they were dead? You'd have to kill them, right?
I mean, if killing was an absolute last resort, then yes, but it's not going to be my go-to.
The premise of your question has defined the answer.
I mean, also, like, I have to, if I don't know necessarily until it's happening what kind of violence they would want to do unless they're explicitly telling me ahead of time. And if they're telling me ahead of time, then yeah, I would do every means possible to prevent that. But like, you know, I don't know what this has to do with morality in the Bible, though.
Yeah.
Well, because I'll show you. So then let's pretend that 3,500 years ago there were no police or phones. Okay. So then if after you killed that guy, 15 years his kid came to do it, what would you do then? Would you kill his kid?
Wait. So hold on. Wait.
So I'm sorry. So in this hypothetical, a man has broken into my home. I have killed him to defend my family, and then 15 years later, his son has broken into my home. What would I do?
Yeah. Same thing, right? Obviously. Of course, defend your family again, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do my best to defend my family, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, you've sort of asked the question, if you had to kill someone to defend your family, would you? Okay, would you do it again if that person's child came? I'm not sure I understand what the question is trying to determine.
Yeah, well,
so
if the next question is, would you do it again if it was a different stranger, but also he brought a jar of peanut butter? I would sort of go, okay, that wouldn't change anything for me, but I'm curious as to why you asked peanut butter. I'm curious as to why this time it's his son.
Well, that's the point, right? So you guys laugh at and make fun of the Bible for Amalekites and Canaanites, but that's the exact story.
Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah,
absolutely
no, I'm sorry.
not.
Yeah,
See,
no. When you go into someone else's village and genocide them, that's very different than a strong stance on the
destroying and enslaving a nation state is different from defending your home from your family from a single invader. Those are two completely different things. I am so sorry that you don't see that.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, like, this is the same shit that, I'm sorry, but the Holocaust was based on, right? Because you think individual Jewish people are evil or have done wrong, and therefore we should kill all of them. That's literally the same logic you're employing here.
You do realize when Saul went to attack the Amalekites and the Canaanites, they were burning villages down.
I think the Bible says they were doing a lot of things, but the Bible has actually never been a very good historical record for archaeology. When archaeology was really starting to get going in the 20th century, a lot of archaeologists were trying to figure out, hey, how could we, figure out how some of these stories are true and how these other ones aren't? Most of the stories we've found out don't really have a lot of biblical basis, including the interactions between the Jewish tribes of Israel and what happens with their nation states. I mean, like, it's just stories. It's just political propaganda, and a lot of that stuff didn't really happen. I couldn't tell you individually between which tribe invaded which tribe, but it's all just it's political talk. It's political speech. It doesn't actually defend or give anybody the right to, again, enslave or demolish a nation, especially if you have God on your side. Right? Like, if you have the God of the universe on your side, I'm sure you can figure out a peaceful solution that doesn't involve killing and enslaving people. But, that's just me.
Yeah, you should just find a peaceful solution for people trying to rape your daughters.
If you have the God of the universe on your side, yes, I think, there should be humane ways of dealing with that. Don't you agree? Like, if you had the power of God, would you choose violence or would you choose something more humane?
Yeah, so if you read the Bible in Exodus, they do run free.
Oh.
But again and again and again.
If you were God, and somebody's invading your home and they're trying to kill your family, would you choose the humane option?
If I was God,
Yeah, if you were God in this situation, let's turn this situation around, because you said if I was in this, right, and I'm just a person. But let's say I'm God and somebody's trying to invade me or even my people. Let's not even say family. Let's just say people. If you were God and these people were doing this, what is the best course of action here?
yeah, but this is a hypothetical that never happened.
Well, it is. Apparently, it is, because you're saying that a nation state invaded another nation state, and therefore we have the right to invade them back. So your logic that this did happen.
Also,
right?
if you start your conversation by giving us a hypothetical, and then when Dan gives you a
if we ask hypothetical
back,
and you're not okay
you
with
say,
that,
no, that's not a.
I don't understand.
thing because
Yeah.
it's a hypothetical.
But Rick, tell me, if you're God, what would you do?
Well, God didn't step in. So was,
Yes. So
Wait, God didn't step in? Are you sure about that? Are we reading the same Bible?
I think he means to stop the Amalekites. from
we're
being-
Okay.
talking about nonsense, man. Like, God didn't step in to stop anybody at that point. They did what they had to do to survive, and you would have done it too. You just admitted.
Why wouldn't God step in? Why wouldn't God stop that? I mean, look, he did it for the Egyptians, right? Did God not smite the Egyptians with plagues and all kinds of other stuff? I mean, did God not help the Israelites in other situations where they went around Jericho and tore the walls down? I mean, God seems to be able to do stuff for the people, so why didn't it happen this time?
Well, these things can all be explained by natural. God can manipulate nature, right? He can do whatever he
Interesting.
wants, but he manipulates nature.
Interesting, but he doesn't stop a nation state from being enslaved and killed.
Human beings, right? The point is they had to defend themselves. Whether you think God should have stepped in or not, that's not the point.
Even
I think
in
the point
even in the
is-
example you brought up, you said when he went to attack them,
Right.
they were burning villages.
Right.
That's not self-defense if you go to attack someone in their home.
Yeah.
Additionally, if God is supposed to set this moral example and lift the people up by being pure and moral and holy and everything, presumably that wouldn't include genocide. Presumably, God would provide answers that don't lead to genocide. Or is genocide more of a problem for me than your God?
So you admit you would do the same thing at the start of the call, but now it's, God should be highly moral.
I think we
Well, yeah,
addressed,
'cause- well,
I
first
think
of
we
all-
addressed the proposed similarities between an individual is attempting to rape the members of my household and I'm going to take an army and invade my neighbors.
Yeah, first of all, here's the difference.
There's a distinction there.
I'm not God, right? So if I was God, I would do things differently. I'm just a human being. If somebody came into my house and tried to do things, I would stop them with the physical powers that may be. But I'm not God.
Yeah,
right.
If I had a gun and a taser in my hand and I knew that I could tase
yeah, if
someone,
I had a
preserve
taser, I
their
would
life
tase them
and
first,
prevent
right?
it,
Yeah, exactly.
I would. Why didn't God defend his people by in any way except ordering them to commit genocide?
Yeah.
So if one by one they burn down your neighbors' homes, you wouldn't assume they're coming to you next. You would just go,
You are completely missing the point, Rick.
If I had the
You are
power of
completely missing
God,
the point.
I would make it so that the homes that they tried to set on fire didn't burn. Why is it that I have thought of something that it doesn't involve genocide, that defends my people, that your God didn't think of?
See, it's funny. You guys, I watch you guys, and you guys always criticize the Israelites for defending their property, their homes, and their people. But now it's God should step in, right? When you're called out on it and would do the same thing, then all of a sudden it's, God should.
To be very clear, when you say they're defending their people, you are describing the action of going and attacking their neighbors.
I just gave you the example. If 3 of your neighbors' houses were burned down, would you assume you were next, or would you just sit there?
I would assume that there wasn't an all-powerful God that was benevolent that wanted those houses not to be burned.
Yeah, the all-powerful God gave them the encouragement to defend them.
Yeah, if I had not even
Which,
the powers
again,
of God, if I had the power of Superman,
if
they
you were-
wouldn't be able to terrorize my people,
Yeah.
and I'd be able to stop them without killing literally everyone, the children, cutting open the bellies of the pregnant women. Yeah, if Superman could and would do a better job than the God described in this story, why do you worship the God in this story and not Superman?
Well, because Superman's never proved that he's real. And Superman is a completely different thing. You're not Superman.
Interesting.
That's why we don't worship God.
Interesting.
They did what they had to do, which you just admitted you would also do.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Rick,
to be very
for the-
clear,
no,
at no point in this call did I say, yes, I would lead a genocidal crusade.
Yes,
So I have
also,
not said I would do this.
Rick, for the third time now, I'm not God. I am not God, okay? If I was God, I would do something different. That is the criticism that we have. First of all, these stories, I can't even justify the morality of these tales because half of them aren't even true and don't describe like real historical events in the way that, we would accurately describe them. But even if they were true, right, if we're working with the premise that there is a God who actively involves himself in the nation state of Israel, right, and does actions for them or sometimes against them, depending on the story, then there is something that God could or could not do in these situations, hypothetically. And I think if he was real, that it's not the best job. It's not the best. And that is the criticism that atheists have. But again, that's with the premise that God is even real, which we don't necessarily buy into. Well, we don't buy into. I don't know necessarily, but
yeah.
So
there you go, Rick. You guys always criticize the Israelites. You always criticize the Israelites. Yes, we can be critical of actions taken by people, but the important part of this story in terms of when there's an atheist and a theist discussing it is, okay, well, if there's a God in this story, why would he order genocide rather than doing one or more miracles that prevent it?
Yeah,
fair enough. But moving on, I mean, do you know the USA alone spent close to $1 trillion in trade with 3 of the biggest slaveholders on the planet? How come you guys don't care about that?
Rick, first of all, you must not watch me. You don't know who I am, Rick. First of all, I am a huge critic of the American war machine, okay, and what America has done in the past. You don't watch me. You don't know me. That's what this tale is.
Do you?
Oh, Rick.
You don't buy iPhones, do you? You don't buy the products, right? Is that you don't support slavery, do you?
Rick,
buy products from those places?
Rick, first of all, this is a completely different argument for what you called in for. Okay, first we're talking about hypotheticals about whether my family's going to be killed, and now we're talking about buying iPhones. So we can readjust and figure this out. Yes, buying into consumer capitalist, ideas does promote slavery in some countries and does do awful things. It's terrible. I've definitely thought about it. I've thought about getting, sourced phones from other things. And also, I'm a vegan, so I try not to support the violence that happens with animals and everything that happens with there too. Rick, we can always do better for stuff, but what the fuck does that have to do with God being real or not? I mean, really, that's what I want to know. Like, is if your criticism is our morality is inconsistent, well, yeah, we're human beings. Who cares? But like, God should be like reasonable. You know what I mean? Like, God's actions should at least make sense on some level. And I don't see how allowing the actions that Israelites and other people have taken, according to the stories of the Bible, make the most sense. They really don't. Especially if later on he's just going to send his son to sacrifice himself for all of our sins anyway. It just kind of defeats the point of all the violence,
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Old Testament was about the survival of the Jewish lineage. That's all it was about. And they survived.
Wasn't it also about the prophecies that foretell the coming of Jesus as a Messiah?
I think it's about a lot of things, but
yeah.
And then also about what God's
who cares?
correct way to own a slave is?
So what? It's about the lineage. Who cares?
As it was
What's the point?
Of a people, and they did what they had to do to survive. When Jesus came, he changed it.
It seems like people that had a God wouldn't have to commit genocide to survive.
I know. That's the thing, right?
That had Jesus on their side would find a way, would be able to survive without committing genocide. Because lots of tribes, many of them not the Israelites, quote, did what they had to do.
Yeah.
But if the people of God act no better or differently in any significant, real way, then the people not following that same God, well, then the difference isn't on earth. And then when you point to, oh, okay, there's some mystical, powerful force, well, I don't see it. So what am I supposed to take away from this?
It's because it's free will. You're jumping to right when you guys are called out on the facts. You guys jump to, oh, God should show himself divinely.
I don't think you've demonstrated any facts, and I don't think that you've made a coherent point. Honestly, I really don't know. Rick, I'm going to let you go because you call in, you're angry, you tell us that we're hypocrites. You don't fucking know me. Okay. All right. You don't know me. You don't know what I'm doing and what I have to say about the American government and its past. Okay. So yeah. I'm probably a stronger critic than you. But look, point is, right, we can talk about what the Israelites have done and what other people have done. At the end of the day, I don't even think half of those stories are real in the first place. I mean, I think you can actually point to at the time at which this stuff was written was not concurrent to a lot of the events that they describe, right? I think it is in part political propaganda.
I'm given to understand that there's genetic evidence that some Amalekites survived.
Yeah.
So
also,
not only is it possibly not the true story of a genocide, I'm supposed to believe that that would have been a good thing, or that did happen and is a good thing.
yeah.
And forgive me for having modern morals and applying them to the past, but I pretty much always think genocide. Not for me.
When white people say they think they're God's chosen people, I think that's disgusting, and I think any group of people saying they're God's chosen people is also disgusting.
Unless you're left-handed.
Well, it's like that's the thing too. Like, the argument was made that like, oh, Israel. It's the lineage of Israel. Okay, so what?
So also,
is it not? Are we not supposed to all be saved? Why does this?
I also have this question: okay, so do they believe that Joseph is actually Jesus's father then? Because that contravenes the whole virgin. Well, then what is the significance of the lineage if
I don't know.
Ends right before Jesus?
There's a lot of questions about the actual
Joseph didn't do shit in the Bible. So
we should move on. We should move on. We got another couple quick announcements.
I can own a donkey if I want. That's all he did. So
what?
Joseph, he had a donkey, and then Mary rode on it, and then literally not even when they tell the Christmas story do they mention him again. Oh, he's over there. He's got a stick.
You're a special man, Jamie. I don't know where your brain goes to sometimes, but you're over here talking about donkeys and stuff.
Well, I mean, what is the okay?
Listen, we got to move on.
The point is the survival of.
I know it's been a while since you've been on the show, Jamie.
It's no different than any other ancient troop of people, but also they're special and their genocides are.
I hear you. Okay,
bring me another caller.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Well, before we get to other callers, we have to give some more announcements here. I want you guys to make sure that you check out the latest episode of the flagship show of the ACA, The Nonprofits, which is going to be live at 3 p.m. Central Time today at tiny.cc/YTNP right after this show. So as soon as we're done with this, a couple minutes later, you're going to be able to watch that. So check it out. And also, the ACA wants you to know what's going on in our community. And for that, we have an updated website. Check out www.atheist-community.org, where you can learn about the organization itself, its policies, and how you can get involved. We want to hear it from you. We want to know what you liked, what you thought was effective, and more importantly, what you think we could do better. So in order for you to give us that feedback, the best way to do it is to email us. You can email us. It's tv@atheist-community.org, and let us know. We want to know, what you think, what's going on. And real quickly, too, we're going to go ahead and do the promo, I think. Yeah, show what other stuff is happening here at the atheist community of Austin. So check this out.
Essentially, a bunch of white, cis, hetero dudes, most of them Christian evangelicals, planted their ideological and religious flags inside the uteruses of 2 million Oklahoma women.
But I also don't want to support or encourage anyone else to help Matt Walsh profit off of this thing. If you feel like hate watching it and you like to sail the 7 seas, then that might be up your alley, if you catch my drift. Yar.
And speaking on this, Multi mentioned it was an at-conception abortion ban. You wouldn't see these men proposing a pre-conception abortion ban. Because a pre-conception abortion ban would ban men from masturbating to climax.
And I don't have to constantly be shamed of my life and think that there's a God watching me masturbate. And I mean, that's a small example. But
depends on how you feel about that.
If you're God, what do you plan to do? You're in Kentucky, it says. Are you going to you have a big plan? I mean, the end of the world coming, what's the next step for you/God?
And we are back to the show. Welcome back, everybody. And we are here to talk to you. We got a couple more calls. Jamie, you ready to get back to it?
Born ready yesterday.
How's it feel? How does it feel to be back in here, Jamie? You feel good?
It's a little trippy, bro. It's like, whoa, the vibes. No, it's good. It's definitely. I mean, I was here last month. I mean, not in front of the camera, but that was a little bit trippy. It's definitely trippy to be talking into this microphone again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if my germs from last time are still surviving on there.
I wish you didn't say that. Because now I'm going to be thinking about that. I got to stay like way far away now. Anyway, we got some more people we got to talk to. So let's get to it. Next, we have Sunflower. Sunflower, who's calling in from Washington. Sunflower, how's it going?
Hi, how are you?
Doing great.
Marvelous. It's a good day outside, and we've got air conditioning inside.
Yeah,
no complaints.
It's true. It's true.
What do you want to talk about today?
Hold on. Let me minimize this because it's distracting on my computer. Anyways, I just wanted to talk to you about a few things and I wanted to pick your brains. By the way, I just wanted to say you guys, I don't mean to gender, I'm sorry. You both are looking fabulous today.
Thank you. We are twinning right now. It is pretty great. And
oh my God, so embarrassing.
I've since grown a beard since last time we hosted.
It's true.
I used to be the clean-shaven host at the ACA, and now I'm not right now, but I will be. So anyway, thank you.
We got to him.
Anyways, I have a lot of religious trauma. I call myself,
hear that.
and I'll try to keep this brief so you can get to other calls.
Sure.
But I call myself an agnostic atheist, though I never came out to my mom as atheist at all, or agnostic atheist. But which is fine, because I'm just not ready to do that yet.
Sure.
But I'm sorry if I sound nervous. I'm very nervous.
It's okay.
Oh yeah, no apology necessary.
Take a deep breath.
Take your time. Take your time.
I was so excited when you guys were on, and I'm like, you're live? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Finally, I can catch you live instead of just watching the recording.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have a lot of religious. I also have ADHD, so if my thoughts seem jumbled, please bear with me.
Sure.
Me too.
Anyways, I have a lot of religious trauma, and I am talking to a therapist, which is good to get your mental health in check for anyone struggling. But anyways, it's hard for her to understand a lot because of what I'm going through. And she does help, but it's hard for her to understand, which is okay. I understand. She's learning about religious trauma with me, but I'm sorry. I have a problem with God, and Jesus, this is going to sound bad when I listen to the recording. I can't even get my thoughts out. I'm so nervous. But anyways.
Oh, it's all good.
I have a problem with God. I don't believe in God, but at the same time, I do, which is kind of weird. But at the same time, I don't care if there's a God or not.
Okay.
So I'm having this battle in my brain that's messing with my psyche because at one hand, I'm like, my mom has a lot of health issues. I won't get into it out of respect for her, but she has a lot of health issues. On one hand, I throw my hands up to the air and flip the heavens off because I'm like, God, where the heck are... I don't know if I can curse on this.
You can say pretty much whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are there new rules?
But yeah, what it sounds like.
Nobody fucking told me about
if
that.
If I could recap for you, Sunflower, what it sounds like is you still have some of these beliefs, kind of maybe, but at the same time you don't believe, and you're struggling with dealing with that, right? It sounds like what you're experiencing is cognitive dissonance. Are you familiar with that?
Oh, totally. Because I come from an ex-Mormon background, as well as an evangelical background, as well as a Pentecostal background. I jumped around a lot.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so just to kind of get the conversation flowing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I felt the exact same way when I was trying to sort of deconvert from my religion, right? Really try to really deconstruction is kind of the term that a lot of people use now, but that's what it was. It was like it wasn't a clean thing for me. It was, well, maybe I'm more of a liberal Christian, or maybe I'm more of a Christian mystic, and then like I kind of had to go through a couple different labels for myself before I could comfortably call myself an agnostic atheist, right? But that's totally normal, and that's totally okay. Even if you recognize right now some of the stuff you don't believe isn't rational, I mean, that's probably because I'm assuming from what you're telling me, right? Like you've grown up with that most of your life. And so if you've grown up with a certain framework most of your life, that's going to be hard to just like, shovel out of your psyche in a day, right? Like, it doesn't happen in a day. Like, therapists, they don't treat your problems in a day either, right? It usually takes time to kind of work that stuff out. So what you're experiencing right now, first of all, I will validate you in saying that it's totally normal. And it's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something that you should feel bad about. You're just trying to work through some stuff and figure out where you land. Now, a label you might use for yourself is an apatheist, which is someone who doesn't actually care whether or not a God is real or his existence doesn't really matter in their life. And maybe that's what you're feeling right now. Maybe there's some other labels that work for you. But am I kind of giving a good summary about like how you're feeling?
Yeah. Is that an accurate description of where you're at?
Yeah.
Kind of. The thing is the reason why I said in the beginning agnostic atheist is because I don't see evidence for God, but at the same time I can't get rid of that out of my head.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
so when I look at the world around me, I see so much pain in this world. And when George Floyd passed away, rest in peace, rest in power, my brother, when he passed away, I was marching with Black Lives Matter very heavily. I was involved in activism very heavily, and I'm always activism.
Is that what caused you to start questioning your traditional beliefs? Can you talk about the process that you went to that led you from, presumably, I'm a Mormon, and then I've forgotten what the Mormon statement of faith or equivalent is, to, forgive me, the next one, and then where you are now?
Really quick with my Mormon thing, and I watched Jimmy Snell Alive. You know.
Yeah, we know Jimmy.
I love him so much. Anyways, and I watched a lot of Aaron Robb. But anyways, my point is I left Mormonism because of historical facts.
Yeah.
Historical stuff, and I couldn't reconcile that between what the church was telling me and what the actual church documents were telling me.
Sure.
I went to the church history library in Salt Lake City. I really dug in. But a friend slapped a book in my hand called The Insider's View of Mormon Origins, which is historical documents. Mm-hmm. Anyways, that's a long story, but eventually I got out of Mormonism because I couldn't even keep the rules of Mormonism because I know this is supposed to be kid-friendly. I don't know.
No, it's not. You can say fuck if that's what you want to say. It's totally cool.
No, I loved coffee. Mormons don't drink coffee, and I couldn't stop doing what men do in the bedroom by themselves.
Yeah.
So I just had all this guilt.
Yeah.
And then because I still believed in God and held on to that concept of God and Jesus, I was going to another church.
Yeah.
I started going to another church that was meeting after the Mormon congregation got over that I was going to. And I dug into evangelicalism. But I was more of a liberal Christian type of person. At the same time, I didn't come out as gay. I'm gay and queer, part of the LGBTQ, baby.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of it. But that took me a long fucking time.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So what brought you from the evangelical congregation and your passion in that to where you are now?
Yeah. That's what I wanted to do.
Well, what brought me to
let's phrase it this way. Where are you at right now?
Yeah.
Where are you at? Like, if you could give a definitive idea of, like, how confident you are in God being real, even if it's like a percentage. Like, I'm 50%, I 50% think that there's a God out there. Like, where are you at?
That's hard to put a percentage on it. That's very hard because there's I don't know, because I would say there's a small percent in my mind that says, what if this is real? A small percent, which would be like, I had to put a number on it. I don't know. It's a small percent.
It sounds like what you're experiencing is when you think about it, right? Like right now, if someone said, hey, do you think there's good reasons to conclude that a God like the God of Christianity exists in the way that Christianity describes? It sounds like you would say when you were thinking about it, well, no, there's not really a good reason. But that your reflexive thoughts, the thoughts that are sort of built up over time that you don't have to formulate consciously, have been influenced by basically your entire life up until recently, and so those are still there. Is that somewhat descriptive?
That's fair, because I feel like I feel like that I feel like I had a relationship with God, like Christians will say, I had a relationship with God.
Yeah.
And then I feel like God failed me. I feel like God just stopped loving me, and that's hard for me to take in. People say, well, then there is no God because there's no evidence. And I agree on that side too. But I also, in my mind, I'm also like, well, God failed me. God stopped loving me. So
let me tell you, Sunflower. Let me tell you about the liberal Christian pipeline. Okay. I think you're in that pipeline right now. Let me explain. Okay. So if you're like myself and you grew up in a more fundamentalist Christianity, Mormonism, I would definitely call as a fundamentalist form of Christianity, right? Very rule following, very, very big on that kind of stuff. And
That's
you
some
realize
hardcore Christianity right there.
The historical context of the religion doesn't make sense, right? Like you can look at like specific statements and claims that Mormons have made, and you can very, I would say, much more easier than other religions see that it doesn't hold up. I would also argue you can do the same thing with Christianity and Judaism, although it doesn't. It's not as clear cut, only because Mormonism is so recent. But here's where you're at, right? You've deconstructed these rules, but you can't deny that you've at least had some experiences, personal experiences, that have made you question something beyond, right? And I think that's how a lot of liberal Christians end up on the podcasts and stuff that they do today, because they're like, yeah, I grew up in this fundamentalist thing, but now I'm much more about the personal relationship stuff, right, with God and stuff. And there's this psychological element almost to it, because that's definitely where I was at. I would say that you and I probably have some similar paths. How I got over it was figuring out that the experiences that I induced through, knowing God, through having this connection with the divine, I could also do through other things. It wasn't just through the rituals of Christianity, right? Like our brains are able to conjure these states of mind and do it in very secular ways, and also not just in secular ways, but in other religious contexts too, stuff that would be directly heretical, if not contradictory, to the experiences that supposedly the Holy Spirit is supposed to have, right? It's supposed to be an exclusive experience that you don't feel with other kinds of, religious experiences. So I would say there's even argument there in looking at your experiences and really questioning whether or not that's the best form of evidence that can conclude that a God is real. Because if God is only available through these kinds of personal experiences, then what do we have to say about the rest of history where people have claimed that God has done things in the world, right? It's definitely, if you look at the history of Christianity, there's definitely people that have said he's done more than just personally appeared to people in
appeared as smoke, he appeared as fire.
Yeah. All kinds of
seas,
observable
miracles,
things, right? Outside of personal experience. But I don't know, Sunflower, that's me just spitting off the top of my dome. What do you think?
Sure, and I appreciate everything you say, because this messes with my psyche sometimes.
Yeah.
I just can't.
You're not alone.
It'll do that.
God, but I watched an old episode really quick. I watched an old episode of The Atheist Experience where Tracy was on, and I think her name's Tracy. I'm sorry, but she said something that really, and this was more recently. She said something that really messed with me in a good way, kind of. It slapped me in the face. She said, I'm butchering what she said, so forgive me if she's listening or anything, but she said, if there was a child being... Yeah, R word or something, and I could stop the person from hurting that child, I would, but your God watches, holds the child's hands and punishes the guy when he's done. That really slapped me in the face. I'm like, God, where are you in this world?
Right.
And then I had to think, with all my experiences in life, there's homelessness, and I work with the unsheltered community, helping them a lot, and because they're important people in this world. And it's just like, if the Bible says love does no harm to your neighbor, why are you allowing all this harm if you can stop it?
Yeah, I agree.
That messes me big time.
I agree.
And that's...
Yeah, there's a lot of theology that has come up to completely justify that specific question, which I think fails to do. In fact, I think like most of theology is just to answer the question of the problem of evil at the end of the day. Explanation as to why God works and doesn't work in the world. And he won't, right? He won't. If Jamie has a heart attack right now, I don't think God's going to intervene. And
I was going to say, don't count on it.
Well,
Do you know CPR? Now I'm thinking.
But that's not God. That's me.
Is there a doctor in the building?
Point is, you are coming up with this thing that makes sense, right? It just makes sense. But there's a lot of people that are honestly gaslighting you into thinking that it doesn't make sense and saying, no, God has a plan. There's more than we know. You know, there's this kind of.
They have a response, and their response, despite not matching up with good reasons about it,
doesn't match up with reality, and it doesn't, frankly, match up with common sense. But it's what we've been kind of provoked to believe, right?
So you can throw reasons and analysis at me about why Los Verdes, Austin's new footy team, isn't the best team that's ever existed, but I'll have a response for you, whether or not it matches up with the reasons and LAFC.
I guess so,
being a better
Jamie.
team.
I guess so.
But yeah.
Anyway,
so I can give a response to something, and so they'll come up with a response like, "Oh, mysterious ways" or "free will."
Yeah.
But I would say you're not alone. This is going to be real difficult stuff. I'm glad to hear that you're working with a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably more work ahead than you want. I know it sucks, but you're doing the right thing in terms of thinking about what you believe and why.
Right. And Sunflower, I'm sorry. We're kind of running out of time here. I do have to kind of move on to another caller, but I do appreciate you calling in. I hope we were able to give you some answers here, or at least even just a sense of comfort.
Yeah, and then call back in and tell us if that helped at all.
Yeah, or talk with people in the chat. I'm sure they'd love to talk to you about your experiences and stuff and relate to how you're feeling, because sometimes you just
you'll feel a lot less alone the moment you drop in that chat and 5 other people go samesies.
Sometimes you just need to talk about these things. Right. But I have to give a couple more announcements here real quick. And then I think we might be taking an audience question, I think it looks like. Yeah, I see some people in the audience. Okay, cool. Well, first let me do these announcements. So, first of all, the holiday season is coming up, and the hosts of your favorite ACA shows are going to go head-to-head in a team contest that will have you in stitches. That's what the copy says, not me. Have you in stitches, okay? But we need help from you guys. So I want you guys to visit tiny.cc/ACA Holiday Survey 2022. And there's a tiny.cc link. You can look in the description for that as well. We want you guys to answer as many questions as you can, and that's going to be part of the contest that we're going to be doing. So we need your participation in order to make this work. And as a special reward, if you fill out this survey, we'll be selecting some respondents at random and sending them a special gift. So click that link and get in the action and watch us duke it out in December. It's going to be really fun. And on October 30th, if you are in Austin or can make plans to be in Austin, consider joining us in the studio audience at the ACA Freethought Library for a live broadcast of Talk Heathen at 1 p.m. and the Atheist Experience at 4:30 p.m. Of course, all of our shows are live, but we will be in person for those as well. The doors open for that at noon, and parking is where you can find a legal spot. So after that, if you can't make it there this month, guess what? We're going to keep doing it the last Sunday of each month. So you can watch the show and look more on the website at atheist-community.org for news and information as we expand our studio offerings in the near future. And I'm excited to announce that we will also be doing a Halloween special for October. Ooh, for Truth Wanted, baby. Yeah. What's up? Yeah. That Friday night, we'll be doing something special. Keep your eyes peeled for that. And we're probably going to be doing Secular Sexuality and Truth Wanted also live in studio in the future. More on that in the future as it happens. So, hey.
Yeah, what else are you going to do on Sunday?
What else? Come on down. Look, you live in Minnesota? Come on. That's like what?
The fun starts before the shows and ends well after them.
You can walk from there, honestly. You can do it if you really wanted to. But hey, we have an audience member who wants to ask us a question, so we're going to flip over to the audience cam. This is like my...
Who dares bring an inquisition before us?
It's a new thing, Jamie. It's a new hot thing.
I was here. I saw.
Yeah. Okay, well, anyway, we have an audience member who wants to talk to us. Audience member, how are you?
I'm great. Hey, my name's Kendall, and first off, Jamie, welcome back behind the desk.
Kendall, where are you from?
I'm from Goliad, if you have any idea.
Goliad, Texas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Victoria. It's about a 2.5-hour drive.
Yeah, okay, awesome.
Two-part question, kind of. What are your thoughts, both y'all's thoughts, on the Texas requirement for posting the In God We Trust posters?
Oh, yeah.
And after that, also, what would you recommend or considered that students might want to do to make their thoughts known about this?
Very simple response. I have one
I was
right
gonna
away.
say
here,
he's
Jamie.
so giddy.
I'm sorry.
If I even had something to say in response,
there was a law that was recently passed saying that you have to have if somebody gives you a sign at a Texas public school that says "In God We Trust," you have to put it up. You just have to put it up. So obviously, Christian organizations are going wild with that and sending it to every single school out there. And that's a violation, I think, of, church and state pretty obviously, but
it's a violation of just people's individual will.
But if you really want to get ahead of the curve, and if you haven't already, I would consider sending them a message in Arabic and see if those white Christian schools will enjoy the message the same way. Because there's nothing in the law that actually prevents you from doing it not in English, I believe.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he's joking. The ACA takes no blah, 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 no liability for us.
No,
him.
of course not.
But also, anything else on the sign? I can put anything else on the sign?
Hypothetically.
Because I've aged, but somehow grown more mischievous and younger. And I was like, really? And give me a second, because I'll formulate some sentence here that can be said on the air, because this isn't secular sexuality. So I'm not sure how else I would describe what else would be on the poster.
What if you put the message in like a rainbow flag behind it?
That would be a much more kid-friendly thing than what first occurred to me.
I don't know what you were thinking.
There are many ways to worship God on your knees that have nothing to do with spirituality.
Jesus Christ. We let you back on for one goddamn show.
For one show.
Oh, jeez.
They're going to banish me. Yeah.
Anyway, it's an interesting question. It sucks, obviously. Very obvious violation of church.
That's also a slogan.
I mean, I don't know how people are okay with it. I really don't. But I feel like if I was a Christian...
Jesus is the answer. What's your problem with Jesus? Everything is Jesus. The people that aren't Jesus are wrong.
I guess so. I feel like if I was a Christian, even if I was a Christian, I would think that this was stupid. Right? Because
I did. When I was a Christian, it was one of the things that made me one of the things that made me sort of re-question when I became an evangelical there for a little bit. Or became saved again. I forget whether I technically qualified. Was sort of like, okay, well, but it's sort of, what does God need with a spaceship? What does God need with a government? That's even less useful than a spaceship. Well, generally speaking.
Christian nationalists would disagree with you.
Well, they're wrong.
Okay.
By definition.
It's past the top of the hour, so we have to announce the top 5 patrons that help make shows like this one happen, specifically the ones that donate to the Talk Heathen patron. You can do that. It's patreon.com/talkheathen2me. And we always give a top 5. And Jamie, you should do the top 5.
Oh, cool. I'm happy to do the fun announcements where I tell people how great people like Eric Tweet are for being the, I believe, #1 patron. Also, Dingleberry Jackson, Balaam's Donkey, the bearded skeptic of TikTok. Finally, something on TikTok worth seeing. And then Kalevi Helveti. We'll see how well I did pronouncing that in the live chat. And then also an honorable mention to, oh my goodness. Delitsico.
You got it.
There it is. No.
Close enough. Delitisco?
Delitisco. Delitisco.
You know, we really should, if you're...
Oh, is that like Deli Tesco? Is this like a UK supporter?
I think
deli food
if you donate on the Patreon, you should put like a guide for how to say your names. Because sometimes I'm not
using
100%
International Phonetic Alphabet.
Yeah,
I'll appreciate it if it's on a show where I read it.
Otherwise, you run the risk of all of us screwing up. Yeah. But we do try our best. So thank you to everybody who donates on that Patreon. You guys are awesome and help make this show even cooler. So let's move on. We got another caller who wants to talk to us. It's another Jamie. It's
oh my goodness,
Jamie from Texas calling in to Talk Heathen. What's up, Jamie?
Are you my transporter clone? Is that what this is? No.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm English. And I'm hoping that you're not bored of my voice. I feel like I keep getting the wonderful chance to call in, and you accept my calls, and I'm just paranoid that everyone's like,
Jamie. We never get bored of the British. The British always have the hottest takes on this show, honestly. So go ahead.
Well, I definitely have the hottest flesh right now because I'm in Austin and my air conditioning isn't.
No.
Wait, you're in Austin and you're not here in the studio right now? What's up with that, Jamie?
I couldn't make it this week and this month. I'll try.
Tisk.
And I wish I had, because I would have been able to get Jamie and we could have had a sword fight, because there can be
only one. Yeah.
You guys got it. Okay.
I was gonna say, do you have a favored sword? Because I do.
I did. I'm a weeb, and I did EIDO for a couple of years.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh shit! That's great. Well, Jamie, what do you want to talk to us about today?
I'd actually like you guys to talk about how you guys deal with the emotional and mental stresses of being debaters, being faces to go up against the irrationalities that you get thrown at you. Like the two callers at the start of this call, like I'm like bouncing in my chair, screaming, like, "That's not how any of that works, jackass!" But I also want.
Did you grow up in the United Kingdom?
I did.
It seems like there's less patience and tolerance for nonsense of a, but I believe it, sort in the United Kingdom. It's my designated flee to country. That's where I would try and end up if I had to flee the United States.
Jamie's welcome.
Yeah, all Jamie's welcome, even though there can be only one.
Well, listen, you're asking. First of all, I didn't do the best job of keeping my cool. I don't know what it is on Talk Heathen. I tend to be a little more fiery than I do on shows like Truth Wanted and stuff. I don't know what it is, if it's the atmosphere or what, but like that's probably the meanest you'll ever see me.
Say my joking, calm demeanor offends you fundamentally, so you just counteract it.
No, I don't know about that.
If I'm one side of a coin, you must be the other.
Well, point is, right, like, for one, everyone who watches this should know that, like, yes, the people we talk to are real, like, they're real calls, but, like, this is entertainment at the end of the day. I don't expect anybody to actually talk to other people outside of the context of this show the way that hosts necessarily talk to us now. Like, that, with some exception, right, like, on Truth Wanted, I tend to model at least more of a question asking method that I think more people can use in these kinds of conversations. But also, like, I think we try to have the conversations that other people wish we had by gathering everybody that wants to call in to talk about this stuff, and then just like getting it out there and then just making sure that our point is heard. Because like my Christianity, the Christianity I grew up with, was a very like a diminutive one, if that makes sense. It's one where I felt like I had to be a sheep in a flock. I felt like I had to be the follower, like not rocking the boat or anything like that. Whereas here, I'm rocking the boat all the time because like we're having this back and forth, which is just something that the kind of Christianity I grew up with like didn't allow me to have. But obviously that doesn't work for everybody. And I don't know. I think it's a release for people, but also like it is. I see how it's frustrating because you're not the only person that's like, how do you guys do it? And it's just like, well, we talk to these people every week, so you kind of get used to it on some level. You know,
you get used to it on some level. I've been told, even outside of the context of the show, that I'm generally a patient person. I think part of it in the note is about talking to people that are being irrational. I like helping and I like explaining things, and I'm generally a patient person. So I feel like, and I've thought about this a bit, because I do things and then later I understand why I did them. It's not a good method generally, but I try and look at it, and I feel like I in some ways miss my calling as a teacher, because it's just something that sort of comes naturally to me. And so I think that's part of what helps me get through it, is I sort of adopt that same sort of mentality of like, oh, okay, well, we're talking about this interesting thing. We're both interested in understanding the truth of it. Even though, for example, like our first caller about the morality in the Bible. Yeah. Some of his points were, frustrating in a bit, but I can always remind myself the less frustration I show, the more I help the conversation be.
That's also an example, though, of somebody who's obviously coming into this show hot, right? They're heated. And so, like, there's no chance in hell that they're interested in what we really have.
Shirt off, oiled up.
Yeah.
They're coming into the show hot.
Talked to too many... Jesus Christ. We talk to too many people, right, who are like that and who continuously call in and who are aggressive. So it's like, well, we can put our best face on, but like that's not somebody who's I'm interested in changing the minds of. Honestly, the people who are most important are the people who watch this show. So that people who can watch clips of this episode or who are just kind of curious and are looking at stuff, who can kind of learn why we have the points of view that we have the points of view of. Because quite frankly, these are conversations that most people aren't having in polite conversation with people.
And you don't have to. There have been guests that came here and that donated to the organization in cash here and made the point, because I was talking about it, because I always feel vain and self-absorbed because I like attention and being in front of a camera. But basically what they said is, no, people like me need people like you, because they would never step in front of a camera or talk to anyone that they didn't want to talk to, but they are coming from the same place that I am.
Yeah.
And so I tell myself, no, someone somewhere wants me to be this vain and self-absorbed, so it's okay.
That's one way of justifying it. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, Jamie, I don't know. Did we answer your question here? I mean, like
that answers the sort of on-air question. The one last thing I'd like to get your thought on, and because this is what I want to take away to when I'm having conversations in the real world, which are less directly heated and of course they don't have the entertainment factor. But I do get very frustrated, even with people I care about, people I love very dearly, when we have loggerheads like my uncle Jerry. You name a conspiracy theory, he believes in it. Also, he believes in the Bible.
Yeah. The biggest conspiracy theory of them all.
And my mom is big on woo. I called in about her taking me to the psychic eye doctor. You may remember that.
Yeah.
And I get very frustrated.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have to stay calm, because if I get angry, I'm going to let my point down. But if I don't stand up and have some spine, they're going to gish gallop all over me.
Yes, it is a back and forth, and it is like something that is a balance that you kind of have to figure out. But
so I can say it sounds like the thing you're describing is exactly how I feel about particular topics in American government and politics. And then for me, with the people that are close to me, that are my loved ones, that negative reaction that I feel is stronger. And what I've found is that when I'm in person with them, I'm able to keep my cool. And then when I'm driving to or from their house, more frequently than I'd like, I just think about like, oh my God, this is a conclusion or a perspective that they have. And when I'm alone in my car, I can be as loud or as quiet or as sweary as I want.
Yeah.
And if I have at one point to myself made my point with more expletives than non-expletives, it sometimes makes it easier for me when I'm talking to the person to be patient. Because I know, like, oh, okay, it's not like I can't say ever, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I just say that to myself, and then when I'm talking to them, I use language that'll help the conversation.
Yeah. Here's what I go back to, Jamie. And I'm this is a weird thing for me, because everybody knows a couple years ago, there is a video that was posted of me as a Christian talking to Anthony Magdabasco for like 30 minutes, right?
It's a really good,
It's 30 minutes of me talking, and it's 30 minutes of me saying, quite frankly, just dumb bullshit, right? I mean, I would view it back as dumb bullshit. But like, Anthony in that point in time never treated me as a dumb person. He never treated me as someone who was beneath him. He did push back, and I think he did it in a very healthy way. But that's also a long-form conversation that didn't immediately make me reconsider everything. It just put a pebble in my shoe. It was one of many steps I had to go through to figure it out. And if you remember that humanity, I always have to remember, what if I'm talking to another me that was just like me just a couple of years ago? Like, how am I going to deal with that? Am I going to have them walk away from this feeling like they didn't get themselves heard, or that they are beneath me, or that they feel belittled? Because I don't want to make people feel that way. I really don't. But it is a balance, because at the same time, those people who have those harmful beliefs often hold power in situations that you have to deal with too. There is a dynamic there,
Oh yeah. Living in Texas, of course, the people in power have very much religious leanings.
100%.
Yeah.
And I won't go too much further, but one last thing from the two of you. What is your number one favorite self-care technique that you do when it's all just too much and you've got to let it go?
Does it have to be a healthy one? Because
I took a shot of rum while you guys were speaking.
Oh shit!
Oh, it doesn't have to be healthy.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I like to drink myself occasionally. Yeah, I find I would say healthy answer. I go to the gym. Unhealthy answer. I play way too much video games, and I will binge and try not to think about it. Especially,
I love video games so much.
Here's the thing too, especially after like I do an episode of one of these shows, and I'm like, I don't think I did my best, and then I just like I just kind of fuck off for a little bit, and don't think about it. But I don't know. What about you, Jamie?
Well, so exercise is a good one.
Yeah.
I've also just sort of I go dancing most nights that I can get out there.
Yeah.
And then things like video games or we don't have enough time for me to go on a whole spiel.
No, we got to get going.
Yeah. So like alcohol, obviously, lots of people turn to recreational drugs of one kind or another. Masturbation works, pornography, basically things where you just lose yourself in a fictional world. Play a drinking game to an old classic show you haven't seen in a while, but
yeah.
Anyway,
that's all the time we got for this call, Jamie. But I do appreciate you calling in, and I hope we were able to give you some insight, maybe some release, maybe some.
Yeah, and then you should do either a gaming episode or as a fundraiser, and then totally take on some of your viewers
while I'm like
insert your favorite game.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. I might have to consider
Patreon bonus. You can beat up on Objectively Dan his favorite game until he cries.
Hold on, don't advertise for Patreon goals that we have.
It's an idea that I had. It's a great idea.
Okay.
Maybe they'll do it.
Okay. Let's move on. I think we have time for maybe one more call.
Yeah,
and
we've got choices.
Yeah, let's talk to Patrick. I think let's talk to Patrick. Patrick, who's calling in from Florida. Patrick, you're live on Talk Heathen. We are at the end of the show here. What's going on?
I wanted to take the time to give a shout out to the pool gods, because the pool god, I play billiards, pool, and you got to show reverence for the pool gods or you don't play as well, I feel.
Interesting. I'm assuming. I won't assume. Are you making this belief in jest? I just have to be clear. Like, are you joking?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I was just wanting to ask.
Because when you started, I was like, I have no idea.
Patrick, we've talked to a lot of people with a lot of different worldviews, and I cannot be sure sometimes. I have to clarify. Okay, so you pray to the pool gods, I guess?
In what way does one show reference to the pool gods?
I feel like if you got to pray to a ludicrous god that makes women out of a man's rib, a personal god like that, you might as well have the pool gods, because it's equally as ridiculous.
I agree with you there. I mean, like, there is a self-medicating power to the ritual, right? Where it's like, I did my ritual, and now I feel like I'm in my space so that I can confidently do something. Like,
I do rituals, but just because they're fun.
Yeah, like I think a secular person can understand that. But if it's anything more than like, I didn't pray to the pool gods, therefore I lost the game because the pool gods are mad at me. Like that would be.
I didn't wear the socks.
Right, didn't wear the lucky socks.
The right socks. No, I mean that specifically. And that's a game that Austin FC lost. So there's your evidence.
If you're looking for excuses, you can make an excuse, but you don't want an excuse. But so you just hail the pool gods when you win. I feel that's
absolutely
the philosophy of it.
Absolutely. That's the weird thing when people pray before a volleyball game or a football game, and it's like, well, if that team loses, is that because of God's judgment? Did God do that? Or
your performance in this sport was inferior. Loss.
Yeah. Like, is God playing the odds?
What about that? Hey, what about that? What about like when they get into the end zone and kneel? Like, did God help them get the play through or something?
I don't know.
I'm trying to figure out.
I don't know, man. I don't know what the mindset is.
I'm surprised they don't turn to the people that didn't catch them and be like, ha ha, God likes me better.
Yeah, there is a supremacist element to that, right? Yeah. Where it's like, I am God's chosen football player.
It's either supremacist or it's just completely self-absorbed. God is good to me, and then that's the beginning of the end of it. I don't care what happens with other people.
Yeah. Anyway, Patrick.
That is an issue.
This was the call, huh? You just want to tell us you pray to the pool gods sarcastically?
Here's my question. But do you pray? Is there like a particular thing you say or do? I mean, I don't mean to criticize, but man, you got to add some things to your religion there.
That's true.
Have a correct amount of beer to drink ahead of time. Some wines are kosher, or whatever the pool version of kosher is, or not.
Yeah.
This definitely has never been a hobby for me in my spare time before.
When I was in the army, I created 2 gods. One was a Tituba, the god of all fucked upness, and the other one was Inky Boo Boo. The other one was Inky Boo Boo, the god of drunkenness.
That's awesome.
I was gonna say, so all fucked upness. What if someone is drunk to the point of being fucked up?
What?
Then, that could be included. I guess Inky Boo Boo and a Tituba would be related there.
I think we need to add these gods to the Talk Heathen pantheon.
I think so.
Do we have a running pantheon right now? Can we start one?
I'm surprised there isn't a TAE wiki or something that's been.
Yeah, we need a pantheon. I think these two could be.
If you create the wiki, I'll spend my spare time adding.
I really like the god of
like
fucked upness.
The god of fucked upness. It's true.
That's a vibe,
Yeah.
dude. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Patrick,
are there any symbols that I can carve into my wall?
Your call was not what I was expecting, Patrick, but then
Yeah.
again, I didn't know what to expect with this call. I do appreciate you calling in for this. I think we do need to ramp things up for today, so thank you for your call and giving us some new gods to worship.
Yeah, I was going to say, and leave any other gods you've created in the comments. One comment for gods. We can work on some gospel here.
It's my
we'll
suggestion.
show those Pastafarians who's boss in the invented religion world.
We do
Crusade.
We do have the Pastafarian.
It's true.
Mascot.
Oh wait, no, yeah, we're on the other side. You're going down.
Well, no, wait, no. You're thinking too monotheistic.
What is the point of having a religion if you don't fight the other religions? That seems to be the thing that it's for.
I don't know. I'm just saying we could have a pantheon. It could be multiple. But
We gotta wrap
up
in
the
favor.
show.
We'll work on it.
We gotta wrap up the show, Jamie.
If you have any thoughts on what our pantheon should be,
let us know in the comments. For sure. And I just want to tell you guys, remind you about some ways you can support the show. Below in the chat, we have a fundraiser. Again, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the ACA. YouTube does not charge any fees. Please like and subscribe. We would love that. And you can also become a member by clicking that join button. Again, you can do that for as little as 99 cents a month. So something to consider. If you want to become one of the top patrons, you can definitely do that by going to Patreon, tiny.cc/PatreonTH, or just like a regular patron. Like, that's cool too. And also, we have a channel that hosts all of the ACA shows. If you go to that, it's tiny.cc/AEN podcasts for all of your audio podcast needs. And also, again, you can become part of the Talk Heathen community in our fan-run Facebook group. It's tiny.cc/FBTHG, and talk about that. So, and stick around too. Don't go away, because at 3 p.m. today at 3 p.m. Central, there's going to be the Nonprofits, which is the flagship show of the Atheist Community of Austin.
Flagship
show. So just definitely check that out. And now I have to say thank you to Jamie. Jamie, thanks so much for being back on Talk Heathen today. I hope you had a good time.
I did. Yeah. It's been a long time, but this right here, this is a good time.
That's good. Well, where can people find you at nowadays?
So you could find me on Twitter at Jamie the Heathen. You can find me on Instagram at Jamie Loco Crazy, and Loco Crazy is also my Snapchat. And then further content to be announced and published.
Cool.
So.
Very cool. And now we have to thank the wonderful,
the really hardworking people,
the real hard workers at the ACA here, none other than the crew who help make this show happen every single week. Going to that crew cam, look at that crew. We got some here in studio with us, some of us working remotely, still doing their best, and we don't deserve their best. Jamie, I'll be honest.
Nope.
I don't think we do.
Yeah.
But they do a lot of good work. So thank you guys for doing that. And we got to give you guys some love rings, especially you guys in the audience, for being here today. Thank you so much. Let's get those love rings on screen. There we go. Thank you to everybody who is watching this show live. Of course, if you can't make it to Austin today, definitely consider coming in the future. Again, last Sunday of each month, we are going back to doing these in studio. And last but not least, Jamie, whether or not you believe, if you are an essential worker, we want to thank you. If you don't believe, this is your community. And if you do believe, we don't hate you.
We're just not convinced.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good day. Thanks for watching Talk Heathen.
We want the truth, so watch Truth Wanted live Friday at 7 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTTW and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/calltw.